You're being willfully ignorant, and it's
No,
annoying.
no, I'm surprised at this.
Let's use an example closer to home. What gender do you think I am?
From what I can see, you're a full-blown male.
But you haven't seen my penis or looked at my genetics, so how do you know?
Yet.
Okay,
Can we just
so-
say yet?
Yeah. I mean, the night is young.
Come on, man.
Welcome back to BBDs with your hosts Joel and Mezzo. Now, I'm Mezzo. Joel's going to be a little bit late today. He said he had to go, let me read the text. He's getting his wisdom teeth put back in. I guess he just liked him a lot. I don't know why he would do that. But he'll be here a little later. And for this first debate, that's all right. It's just me and some other rando on TikTok talking about the entailments of omniscience regarding free will and what that all has to do with farting in someone's face. That might seem a little bit confusing up top here, but when you get into the debate, it'll all make sense by the end, I promise. Here we go. First one of the date.
One thing I was thinking about recently in my deconstruction process, I was thinking about atheism and atheists, and you are an atheist. So I'm curious to know if, are you one of those atheists that believe only empirical, demonstrable things exist in reality, or are there other things besides that?
I don't know if you can empirically demonstrate love, but I love my wife. I mean, I guess it depends on how you define it. I mean, maybe you can. Like, there probably is like a series of brain processes that light up in your brain, and you know, when all the things are happening that we feel and call love, and that it is probably happening. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I need that to believe in it.
No, yeah. So you don't bang the gavel on, if it's not empirically proven, it doesn't exist.
Until something is empirically proven, we should kind of be like, yeah, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We should be a little less definitive with it. You know, I think it's okay then to kind of say like, yeah, maybe it does. But when something contradicts itself, then we can say, well, then for sure that doesn't, right? You know, when you talk about a square circle or something like that. Now we're outside of reality.
I seen you do a video, and I try to talk to atheists about this, but I don't think we get anywhere with it. But you had a picture, and it was still super simple. It was a circle. It was like the person, and then two lines going away from it, and then one is like choice 1 and choice 2, and then you added God into the other picture, and then it was like now that person's choice 1 is gone, and they only have choice 2, or you know.
Yeah, so that was about free will, just for the other people here, and it was just demonstrating that if we're considering a not God universe, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. If we're considering the God universe, then there isn't. It's just not what it's the right word for it, because there's an all-knowing being. It's already settled. The future is known.
And so the future being known, how does that known future affect that person's choice?
So I don't think it influences their choice. It just limits the outcomes.
So how would that person not have a choice?
They don't have any other options. There's just the one option. So you can just choose the one option, but you wouldn't really call it a choice if you only get one thing. If I was like, for breakfast, do you want pancakes or pancakes? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really feel like a choice is the right word for it, because there's no other options.
Well, it seems to me that it's not saying pancakes or pancakes. It says it has two choice. I just know the choice. Like, for example, let's say you came to me down the road, and I'm like, oh, I know this Mezzo guy. He's kind of belligerent. He doesn't like me, and he's asking me which way to go. You know, we're buddies in town, and you know me. And you're saying, hey, personer, which way is Emerald City? I said, well, if you go left, you're going to Emerald City. If you go right, you're going to fall into a ditch. And I know you don't like me, and I know that you don't listen to the advice I give you anyway. And you say, oh, yeah, whatever, you're just a loser. I'm going to go right because you're probably just trying to trick me. And I knew you were going to do that. And then you go right, and you fall into a ditch. Like, I can write that down. Mezzo's going to, maybe we'll switch it. I'm the belligerent guy. So person is going to fall into a ditch. You write that down, you know? And I fall into the ditch because I don't like you and I didn't listen to you. Did your foreknowledge of my choice influence my choice or limit my choice at any point?
No, I'm not saying that God's foreknowledge influences our choice. It just, because he knows specifically what it's going to be, it means that we don't, it's like this illusion of choice, right? It feels like we're getting all these options, but there really is only one option that we can possibly do. So in that scenario, because you're not, because okay, we switched it. So you're belligerent, and I'm the direction giver.
Yeah, yeah.
So because I am guessing, you still might have choices. But if I am certain, like as an omniscient being, it only works with omniscience. If it's just like I know you really well, then you still might have choice, because then humans are fallible. We can be wrong. But with an unfallible, omniscient God, he can't. We can't make God wrong. It's impossible to do otherwise.
I agree with that.
So it only is about that, right?
Yeah, no. What is the factor of omniscience that causes that scenario to change?
Omniscience settles the future.
It settles the future, or it knows the future.
Both happen. Just it knows the future, and because there is one future that it knows, it consequentially the entailment of that is that it settles it. God doesn't sit there and go, I'm gonna make the future be. Now, most Christians also do think that God plans the future also.
But a lot of ways.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But even if they don't do that, then just by knowing it, the entailment of it is that that's the future. That's the choice. That's what it is. It's done. It's settled. This idea is not mine. I made the drawing because I'm a visual learner. And so I've heard this a bunch of times and heard it explained, and it is hard to explain it. But when I drew it out, like I did this on paper first. Like sometimes with my like ideas, I just do it on my own first and try to debate myself a bit and see like what's the thing of this. And when I drew it out, I was like, well, if in the future this one's not a choice, I can erase this line because it can't happen. So why are we including it in the drawing then? And once you do that, you realize like on the top universe, without the God, you could have like hundreds and millions of lines coming out of options of choices that you can do at any given time. With the bottom one, as many as you draw, you will erase all of them until you just get to the one that God already knew that you were going to do. So it's kind of like, I know it's a weird way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it seems like there's like this missing piece. And so as you're drawing that out, there's like a missing question mark somewhere where I'm like, I don't see how that omniscience gets to no choice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, look, if I like fart, it's not my intention to make it stink. I was just trying to let gas come out. But the entailment of it is that everyone plugs their nose. Like,
no.
Right. So it isn't necessarily like, it could be that I like go up and fart right in your face and I'm trying to offend you. But if I'm just like, walking by and I let one out and it stinks, that's just like the consequence of it is that it stinks. So it's not that I like desire it to be that way. It just is. I'm not saying God is like, I'm going to be omniscient so I can take everyone's free will away. It's just if it's the entailment of omniscience is that, well, then the future is settled.
BBDs. Oh, what a great debate. We're here at Bad Bible Debate. I see that Mezzo already recorded his part, and now, hold on, he left a note here. It says, going to eat a piece of pecan pie, but I know he's pronounced it pecan. I can just read it in there. He's pronounced it pecan. And it always takes him forever. I don't know if you guys know this, but Mezzo just savors a piece of pie. He'll take forever to eat a piece of pie. It's like he never. Anytime anyone's like, "Oh, would you like it a la mode?" He's like, "No, the ice cream will melt like hours before I'm finished this piece of pie." So. All right, he's going to be preoccupied for a bit. Listen, this is kind of exciting. This is sort of fun. I have here a debate that is actually the first time Mezzo and I met. It was the first time he was on my live. I didn't know the guy from Adam, as they say. Very, very biblical. But he popped in on my live to help me discuss gender with a fellow named Randall. It is a mess of a conversation, but that's pretty typical of trying to explain something that's not that difficult to understand to a bigot. So enjoy that, the first meeting of Mezzo and Joel.
You didn't answer my question, though. I said, how many genders are there?
Well, everyone, what we do as human beings is we define words, okay?
Right.
So the word gender seems to have changed meaning different times throughout history.
If it's natural, many people will be there in that category. But it's
Natural
not.
doesn't mean the majority. So,
talking about,
Randall,
bro?
I did come in here to agree with you. We do be making up words when appropriate. That's exactly what we do be doing
Yeah,
because
and it doesn't make no
as we
sense,
learn
bro.
new things, we add to our lexicon. And furthermore, I just wanted to add here that you guys are right about the number 72. That's an awesome thing. I didn't know. I looked it up. And a lot of that has to do because of pairings, right? So if you can be both male and female and two spirit, or you could be like any combination of those things, then like the number exponentially increases as to how many there are. So there's not like 72 individual ones, but the combinations kind of add up to that.
Mezzo,
Thank you,
name me the
Mezzo.
70.
Mezzo, I just okay. Hold on.
Wait, name me the 72 genders. You claim the
No.
72 genders. You should know. You should know all of them.
No.
Name me the 72 genders. You
But
don't
but
know
here's
it.
the thing. Here's the thing, Randall. Gender's a spectrum, right? So just like name all the colors. Go. How many are there?
I asked you a question. You asked me a question back. That's not how it
Yeah,
works.
because I reject the premise of your question. Like to go through and list all these would be a terrible waste of everyone's time.
I
I
bet
don't
you
have
don't know
you
10.
think
You
I
don't
have
know
them
10, bro.
memorized?
No,
Like
you don't know 10.
Blue, baby blue, dark blue, royal blue, blue that's kind of becoming a little bit purplish.
Bro, how is gender a problem in our society when clearly everybody sees a man and a woman? If you want to identify as something else, cool, but don't try to make it something new and say, "Oh yeah, you know, there's 72 genders." No, there's not. We only see two.
I can answer like why this is a problem in our society. Are you like near a bathroom right now?
No. Why?
If you can go into a bathroom and like just turn on a light, and if there's a mirror in front of you, look into it.
I got a mirror in my room.
Okay, cool. So that what you're seeing right there is why there's a problem with the genders, because people like you, like what you're looking at, are like not accepting this, and people are having like real mental issues, like real problems, like
No, I understand.
depression, anxiety, like coping problems, because people like you don't accept them for who they are.
No. See, that's wrong, man. Because you're trying to say like,
Oh,
because
you do accept them for who they are?
wait, hold on. You're trying to say the only way for me to show my love to them is for them to be who they want to be.
By the way,
No.
Randall, are you using the mirror above your bed to do this exercise?
Wait, no. Well, I don't got mirror on my.
Why is Purple Rain playing in the background?
Yeah, that's so
bro,
weird.
Wait, Mezzo. If I come and tell you, right, I want to join a gang. I want to be like a gang lord or something like that.
Do they hurt other people?
Wait. Hold on.
No, that's, I'm telling you
I'm
what
not
I would
hurting
say. I
nobody.
would say this. I would say,
hurting
do they
nobody.
hurt other people?
I'm not hurting nobody. So would you
If
say?
you don't hurt anybody, do your thing.
But again, you see how that is wrong, right?
What gang doesn't hurt other people? Are you in a singing gang? Is it a dance group?
Oh, that's cool.
If someone doesn't agree with your lifestyle, y'all be saying he's a bigot. No, it's just how he sees things. That's not.
No,
me.
if you want to identify as a bigot, that's fine. But it's a weird choice. Yeah. But here's the thing: like, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, yeah, do it. If you're joining a gang that's going to rob and steal and beat people up, no, I would say that's a bad choice. That's immoral. Don't do that. If the gang that you're joining plays video games together, go do it. Yeah, that's fine. If you're going to choose a gender, if you feel like you are a gender inside of your heart that is a gender that hurts other people, I'm not going to validate that one. If the reason you're hurting people is because of your gender somehow, I'm not going to validate that. There isn't one of those.
Well, you know what? Because Jesus said, "He that made them what? Male and female." It's that simple.
So wait. Oh,
genders.
sorry.
So
So
where is
is
this-
it that men have penises and women have vaginas? Is that the thing, Randall?
You know
So
what, male and-
No, I mean,
Rand-
is that it? Because are you saying God has a?
I'm saying everybody knows what a male and a female is.
No, but Randall,
What
this
happened?
is
agree.
actually this is an interesting idea. So we'll put gender to the side because you just can't get your head around gender and sex being different things.
Yeah, it's bunch of-
But God in the Bible, or is it Jesus, whichever, says that He made male and female, those two sexes. And guess what? The Bible gets it wrong because He made those two and then variations on that theme physically. So that just disproves the stupid book. That doesn't make reality all of a sudden have to fit into the antiquated nonsense. I guess this is what we'd have to say, Randall. What we'd have to say is that the people that are born intersex, or that other acronym that I forget, are not created by God. Would you sign off on that?
Nope.
Well,
never said that.
he created people that weren't male or female that kind of have some of both,
God actually
or
said,
whose genitals don't match their chromosomes. Are you telling me that can't be true? That would go against the Bible.
First of all, I mean, you don't believe in the Bible, so it's gonna be.
No, don't pivot. What are you fighting against? We've just told you that gender is a word that has been redefined as of late, but maybe has also meant this prior to whatever modern age we're in.
So
it
now,
means the how people identify.
Okay, so I identify as a boy. That's I'm not like.
Sure, you can identify as a boy. That could be
hold
your
on,
gender.
hold on. So I'm a boy.
Oh, don't do that. You won't be old enough to be on this live.
Please identify as a boy. Please
so
identify as a 17-year-old boy.
wait,
Please.
so
My
you're
finger is itching for you to identify as a...
Bro, you're relating boy as someone who is young, and maybe
I'm not sure what it means when it comes to
What else?
this
What else does it? No, keep going. What else does it mean to be a boy?
So it's
Keep
now.
going.
Wait.
Dumb.
Is a man now another gender?
Man is a gender. Yes.
Man
What is it?
and woman.
So what does it mean? What does it mean to be a man? I'm a man,
TikTok
and I have
guys.
my fingernails painted. Am I still a man?
You do you, man. That's you. You doing you.
Okay. So
That's not
fingernails
my problem.
have nothing to do with manness.
Okay, write
Okay.
that
What
down.
what does? Yeah. What's next? What does a
So,
man mean?
The fact
Well,
that
you have facial hair. Does facial hair have something to do with it, Randall?
the fact that y'all are like placing this in categories, saying these are different genders, everyone at a certain point becomes a man or a woman. So are you trying to tell me they change gender?
Randall, you're being willfully ignorant, and it's annoying.
No, I'm surprised at this.
Let's
It's
use
not.
an example closer to home. What gender do you think I am?
You?
Yeah.
I mean, from what I can see, you're a full-blown male.
But you haven't seen my penis or looked at my genetics, so how do you know?
But your facial
Yet.
structure, I can
Yet.
tell.
Can we
Okay,
just
so-
say yet?
Hold on,
Yeah. I mean,
wanna
the
see
night
that.
is young.
Joe, come on, man. Joe.
But listen, so what you're doing is you're saying because I have a beard that I'm a male?
No.
Okay, what is it?
There's a difference between how women are built and how men are built. That's why.
Oh my God, there's a
That's why
difference
when it
between
comes
how men are viewed and how women are viewed in society. Would you say in society?
not in society, the way
That-
God made them is different.
Oh, let me
Okay,
guess.
okay.
Women
You're real-
have their own structure.
So you can't see my gametes, but you're saying my facial structure. So if I had no beard, a feminine facial structure, and a higher
I'll still
voice,
know
would
you're
I
a male.
would I be a woman?
I'll still know you're a male because when we go out on the street, we know which is a male or a female.
Well,
She,
Randall,
whatever.
can I ask you a quick question? Should we just base the ideas or the identities of sex or gender or whatever you want to say on whatever your opinion is? Should we just go by that maybe? Is that what you're saying?
No, you should base it on reality.
Just based on whatever you happen to
Base it-
think
base
is
it on
reality?
But do I have to accept what you think you are?
No, you don't have to, is what we're saying.
So
But
why is that a
if you
problem?
if you want to live a life with empathy and kindness, then you should accept people for what they want to be. If you want to be cold and rude and absolute dog shit immoral person, you are welcome to do that. We're just kind of letting you know that that's the choice here.
Oh my God, man.
The rest of the world has made a move to
That's
use
not true.
gender. Shut up. To use
Hey,
gender.
correction, not the rest of the world. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, except for bigots, to use gender to refer to an identity rather than a biological sex. So that's where the disconnect is. And the fact that you refuse to use gender. Now, let me ask you this question. Why? Why on earth would you not use gender to mean an identity rather than biological sex?
Because it's not my definition. Hey,
Hey, I have to go. Can I have a last little word here
Yeah,
with Randall?
please do.
So the reason I was kind of asking, like, how do you determine if your reality or my reality is correct? There are ways. There's ways to check into it. We could guess. We could use logic to come to that conclusion. We could ask the experts. We could check the Bible. We could use science. That's a really good method to figure out who is correct and who's incorrect and kind of get to the bottom of it. But even if it does end up being that both are a little bit right, then, or honestly, even if it ends up being that you're 100% right, you still have an option to choose kindness.
I never said I hated you or something. I don't know where you're getting all this from.
You're invalidating.
Yeah,
Wait, Frames.
the words that you use when you call someone fake.
I said fake woman. That's all I said.
Yes, that's not something that your savior would say.
So did I tell you whatever you're doing is wrong or something? I said that's your perspective.
Yes,
I know.
you did.
No,
You
no, I
very
did
much
not.
did.
I said
You
that's
said
your
that.
perspective, not my
You said,
reality.
Randall-
you said it's unnatural. You said it's fake.
Yeah.
You said all kinds of stuff.
You're
Unnatural means
invalidating
sinful.
someone's
I said having
experience.
72 genders don't make no sense.
So if
That's
you didn't say that, then
invalidating.
I'm so sorry, and I totally misread this conversation, and I thank you to not say things like your gender is fake ever again. I appreciate that you won't do that. I appreciate that you won't call people unnatural who are born intersex, because that is super fucked up of a thing to say. That's like really dark thing. And I'm sorry that I misunderstood what you were saying with that earlier. Thanks for clearing that up. I'm gonna go to bed.
Thanks, Mezzo. Great to meet you. Thanks for being
You
up
too.
here.
I like your
Follow-
live. I've seen your
follow
live a few times. I've chatted here and there, but it's a nice.
appreciate it.
I've never come up. Good to see you.
Well, it was great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry. This is the best goddamn pecan pie I've ever had. Joel, you want some of this pecan pie? I think Joel had to go put some gauze out of his wisdom teeth holes he's working on in the bathroom. It's the best pecan pie in the world. Okay, look, I just got to put on another debate so I can finish this. This one was absolutely nuts. I can't even preface you for it. Oh. Except that at the very beginning, Joel and I were having a bit of a debate about whether or not it's better to say happy holidays or season's greetings. Oh my god. There it is.
Before we talk to Steven, can I just say, I don't mind when people say season's greetings. I just don't like the attack on happy holidays that we see. I think that we need to stop trying to tear down the happy holidays. These holidays can be happy. They are holidays. They are happy.
I
don't
disagree. I think seasonal depression is a real thing.
Then don't say season's
Merry
greetings.
Christmas.
Why are you greeting people with a depressing season?
Season's
greetings
the
is
winter
awesome.
solstice. We welcome the sun back. We're like, you can stop
How
being
about
sad.
Merry birth of our Lord and Savior
He's
Jesus
dressed
Christ.
like
Get
off,
the fuck
Steven.
outta here.
Fuck off. We don't need
Why
your
not?
shit.
So why do you believe in this make-believe God? What's that about?
First, I want to start with the fact that I know better from like Disneyland. Like, I don't believe that he's a genie, like most people, because we've all been indoctrinated by Disney movies, and so I understand the character of God. He's not a genie, right? Ultimately,
I like
And
that you're
so-
calling him a character from like a storybook. That part was checking out.
well, he has a character, like I have a character.
Oh shit.
I mean, you talked about a multiverse. I know you watched a lot of like Marvel movies. I'm sure that probably had an influence, right?
Steven, would you agree with me if I said that God, it lacks character? He lacks a lot of character in that he's like a barbaric a-hole.
What are you talking about, like in the Old Testament when his people?
Yeah, like I just call it the Bible.
Yeah, I like to read books and they have final chapters, and I like to read the context of the story to understand what the final chapter actually is, instead of just like cherry picking a verse and saying,
Oh,
wow,
so
this
like
is
he used to be bad and then he redeemed himself. Did some of the stories earlier in the book get attributed to God and stay in the Bible, but God didn't actually command them?
Yeah, they're attributed to God in the sense that when people are reading it and they're not understanding the context, they're believing in the lie that it's God commanding these things when it's actually the Israelites that are doing things.
That's what I'm
in their
saying.
own
So
power.
earlier in the
Yeah.
Bible, when it says, and God commanded somebody to do
Right.
something bad, that isn't true. That's a wrong part of the Bible.
Yeah, no, we learn about that later on in Jeremiah, that they were doing things in his name that he didn't command.
Oh, okay. So
The whole
a lot of
story
the
of-
Old Testament is wrong.
See, this is the thing, Stephen, that I know that Mezzo will know in Ezekiel, I don't know if it's 25 or 20, where God says that he did tell the people to do certain things, like sacrifice children and all sorts of other heinous
Where's
things that he came up with. Yeah, so here we go. It's over in 24. So I gave them, this is the important part. So I gave them other statutes that were not good and laws through which they could not live. I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn. that I might fill them with the horror so that they would know that I am the Lord.
Yeah, when he says that, he's saying he's giving them over to the lust of their own heart.
Like he says this, I gave them statutes that were not good.
Right.
And ordinances that
Lord.
they could not live. I gave them.
He gave them over, right? You ever heard
So
someone
is
giving
this, sorry, is this part correct, or is this one of the wrong parts of the Bible you were
It's not that it's not
about?
correct. It's just you have to read it in context. He's allowing his people to do things outside of his will because that's what their heart is doing. They're wicked.
Not what he's talking about at all.
How is that not what he's talking about? Read it. Jesus said,
I gave them statutes. So he's saying I gave them laws that they couldn't do?
So Stephen, it's
He gave
basically
them laws that he couldn't do. None of the laws they can do.
That were
That's
not
the whole
good?
point of the Old Testament.
the way it reads is he's like, hey, you guys, I told you to not sacrifice things to idols. I told you to do this or that, and they still did it. So he's like, okay, you know what? Fuck you. Kill your kids.
Yeah, that's
No,
how I
he actually sent snakes. He sent serpents.
That's not what's being listed here, but you
hold on. I like
I don't
that though,
remember. When
because
is it
that makes a
What are you
good
talking about?
point towards back our main thing here. Like sending
Yeah,
snakes
yeah.
is a total make believe move. Like that's like right up the alley of make believe.
Well, I know you think that. Like I said, we talked about that earlier. From the ages of 3 to 6, you watch nothing but Disney movies, so you would have no
Oh, we didn't
understanding.
talk about that. You
Anything
talked about that.
metaphysical
We were all
outside of
confused about why you were talking about genies.
How in the world am I going to understand the character of God and the metaphysical properties of God if all I've ever seen was genies and
Christina Aguilera.
Beauty and the Beast.
Other make believe things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to understand that Disney is satanic 100%. They're occultic.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
We all know
Right.
that. We're all on board with that.
Yeah.
So then their number one goal is to make sure that we're brainwashed enough to not understand the character of God. I mean, that would be their first goal.
Can I just say, no, Stephen's right, because like you read the Bible and you go, this seems reasonable, but then you watch these Disney movies and you go, wait, these are fairy tales and they match the Bible. So now the Bible seems like a fairy tale because I'm watching all of these cartoons that feel like a fairy tale.
Yeah,
so
there's, like,
ultimately,
talking animals
everything,
and stuff.
the Bible
Magic.
has the snake and the donkey and the superheroes and the smaller people and stuff like that.
Talk about Shrek? What are you talking about?
Talking about Bible,
Guys,
yeah.
there's the Disney verse. There's the marble verse. There's the Bible
Animals
verse.
talk to each other. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Talk to a
in the
person.
Bible verses, there's the same fantastical elements as there are in the other fantasies. That's my point. That's the whole thing we're
there's-
talking
in a
about. So for you to come up and
representation,
say like, yeah, it's just like Disney, or are you saying it's not like Disney?
I'm saying that the reason you believe that God is a sky daddy, and you guys say that a lot, is because that
Yeah, Joel, you
what's-
guys have been saying that
I've
nonstop
never
since
said
he's been here.
stop. Give us some evidence in a second, but I just want to say that I kind of agree with you. Like I read the Bible, and then after I read it, I watched How to Train Your Dragon, and I was like, this is a fictional story, but God's sort of training his dragon, Lucifer, so that made that seem more fake. Is that what you're saying?
No,
'Cause
Lucifer's not a dragon.
This
Actually,
lines
speaking of
up,
a nation,
and it all seems really, really fake and stupid. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that there's poetry in the Bible. There's things that are not necessarily authoritative, especially in the Old
There was
Testament.
poetry in Moana. There's a ton of songs. There's great songs.
It's a book written by 40 people from all over that side of the world. There's no other book like it. You got to give me that.
The TV series Law and Order SVU Special Victims Unit. 236 authors that wrote that show, and it's a cohesive show. There's
Law
no
and
show
Order?
like it. There's nothing like it.
Well, we live in a three-dimensional world with time, matter, and space. So in the very first verses of the Bible, it actually states that we are in a three-dimensional world, and this world is being created simultaneously, all together. So in the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. God said, let us create man in our image. So who is he speaking to?
Are you asking rhetorically, or do you want us to answer?
Well, I'm asking you guys, do you know who he's talking to at that moment?
The divine council or something?
He's talking to, his triune nature. He's talking to his essence. He's talking to the Holy Spirit.
A Godhead.
Oh, he's talking to himself. Okay.
Yeah.
God pulled out the rib from Adam. I work in the medical field. God pulled the rib from Adam and fashioned a woman, right? Yeah, the rib itself is, aside from the liver, is the only other part of the body that can regenerate to full capacity. There's a regenerative factor to the rib. within the DNA of the rib, meaning that if you break a rib or you take a rib out of your body, it will grow back.
And what's your job?
I'm an ophthalmologist. I'm in ophthalmology.
What's that?
Ophthalmology?
Yeah.
It's the study of the eye. They do surgeries, cataract surgeries, glaucoma surgeries, things like that.
So what? So you brought up like I'm in the medical field, like you're some sort of rib expert.
I'm not a rib expert, but
okay, so it's not relevant.
In ophthalmology, I know.
He knows ribs, though.
Yeah, but I've had my ribs removed, so I'm actually more of an expert on this than.
Did they grow back?
You had all your ribs removed?
No, just the bottom ones. I had to do something.
None of it grew back? You can look this up if you think I'm lying.
If they had grown back, would you have gone and gotten your money back, or?
No, I got what I needed.
No, I'm saying, like, what if, for instance, God said the tibula, he used the tibula instead of the rib, right?
Then you wouldn't believe this at all. It'd be so ridiculous then, right? Yeah. Have you gone through other ancient mythologies and looked at them as closely and give them as generous as an offering as you are for this one to see if they're all right? Because if there was like a Finnish ancient mythology that was a little better, or if there was some other Babylonian story that was better, or like an indigenous American, the Dine people maybe just fucking nailed it, and you don't have to like stretch it as much, would you switch to believe their myth is more closely accurate, or would you still be a Christian?
No, I wouldn't switch. I believe.
So if this is what you're telling, I understand. So if what you're telling us, if you analyzed any other origin story, any other myth, the same way that you're doing with the Bible, it still wouldn't convince you. Then why do you think that this would convince us?
If I found truth in it, if I found prophecy, if I found.
I just said that. I said if you were as generous to that and you started to find things that were like, wow, this is even better than the Bible, you would switch religions to.
For the sake of what if you're doing that, then yeah.
I mean for real, I think you should go look at other creation stories.
But I do believe that there are some mythological things out there that the Bible discusses in detail. It talks about idol spirits, things like that.
Are you understanding what I'm asking you to do, though?
You're asking me to do something?
Yeah, I mean, not like right now, but like over the next few weeks, read a whole bunch of ancient mythology. Read their creation stories. Like, really read into them. And don't just, like, read it once on Wikipedia. Do like what you do with the Bible. Really go through word by word. And anytime if they, like, talk about coyote, think about, like, what do coyotes do that's different than other, like the same way you're doing with ribs?
The Bible is a lot older than most of those books. The only one that you can really attribute to is the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, but some of them have spoken word passing downs that go back farther, so they're worth looking into. And by the way, the older something is, the less informed it is.
BBDs. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I'm whispering because Mezzo is sleeping. He's right here asleep. I think he's in some sort of a sugar crash from the pie. He ate the pie and now he's crashing. Okay, we're gonna listen to another debate. This is a debate with a fella who apparently has deconstructed and now he's reconstructing, and I try to explore what on earth he's using to reconstruct. Like, what kind of lumber is he building back this religion with? What substantial is he using to build his house on? What foundation? And I'm not going to spoil it for you. And I don't want to talk too much because I'm going to wake the sleeping baby. So enjoy this debate. Robert, are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a label for myself, but I at this point I would say I'm an ex-evangelical. I've deconstructed and reconstructing.
Oh well, you're in the wrong direction. You came the right direction, and then you turns out you turned back, and so let's help you keep going the other way. How can I help you dump the Bible today, Robert?
So when you say let's dump the Bible, I'm like, depending on what he means, I may agree. There's a lot of it that I think is just.
I don't think you're going to agree, because what I mean by it is to dump the ideology of Christianity.
I agree with Jesus.
Right.
As a Christian, I feel
so you have issues with the Old Testament as any reasonable person would. but then you really, really love Jesus and you don't want to let go of Jesus. If Jesus is like relies heavily on the Old Testament for his like to validate him, isn't that a problem for you?
There are times in the Old Testament where essentially the author of a book will ascribe to God as saying, wipe out all these people. And they may have even really have thought in their mind, in their subjective spirit, that God said to say X, but God didn't have any part of it. But
yeah, but so you don't think that there was a Moses that stood on Mount Sinai and received laws from God?
I want to believe that there was. I don't know that I can back that up. I want to believe that there was.
Okay,
I think it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, because what you said was that that the things that are written in the book are basically people thinking that God is saying this and that, like to do this and that, like the Levitical laws, whatever, slavery laws, etc. And that's not true. But there is a story being told where a real live man named Moses guided 2 million people out of slavery in Egypt, ended up at the base of a mountain, Sinai or Horeb, and I guess Horeb, they're both the same, I guess, and received laws from God. So I'm wondering where in that story is there fiction and where is there fact? Because we want to reject the laws, and I understand that. But then, like, what do we keep? How do we negotiate that? I think that's a struggle, isn't it?
I will say that I believe, for the sake of this conversation, because I'm struggling. I don't know what I think. But for the sake of this conversation,
can I this is going to be a little bit pointed, but it doesn't sound like you did a very good job to deconstruct.
Well,
I think you gotta really go a little harder than that. If you haven't thought through the historicity of Moses and the Exodus, then I don't know what you looked at. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe it's a valid criticism, but I would say that going to Moses, right? I do believe that there was a literal figure named Moses. I do believe that he was at least exposed to Pharaoh and to Pharaoh's like educators and things like that. So I'm going to say went ahead and grew up in the house of Pharaoh. I don't think that Yahweh was the first person to come up with the things that are in the Ten Commandments.
So Moses is on the mountain. He gave he got the Ten Commandments maybe literally from God. And then the next chapter tells us about the slavery laws that I don't think you want to attribute to Yahweh, right?
Right.
So,
and I would even,
that's the trick, right?
Instead of looking at, hey, what does a prophet specifically say? You look at the Bible overall, and it's like, what's the overarching view of this library that we come away with, right? And so, like, as an overall view, we know that, you know, if God is about love, then ultimately that cannot be manifested in a people group being subjected to chattel slavery.
I think that I think the whole God is love thing, which is in one verse once,
right,
is just like I think it's like what ends up happening. I find when I've been reading the book by the link in bio, I read full chapters of the Bible on YouTube. And I comment on them as I go. I'm reading the whole thing. I'm going to be putting the whole thing online because everyone always complains about context. When we read it, it's like the actions that God is taking are barbaric and horrific, and the laws he gives are evil and, you know, I shouldn't say evil because, you know, I don't believe in morality, but like are, again, horrific, barbaric. And then there are claims made. Right? There are just like assertions thrown in there where God is slow to anger and full of love and he gives love to thousands and blah, blah, blah. And those assertions don't ring true in the face of the behavior. Like a great example here is like the golden calf debacle on, you know, Mount Sinai. Moses comes down, they're doing the golden calf thing. And God really quickly gets super angry And then he wants to kill all of them and start over fresh with Moses. But instead, he goes, Moses talks him down. And so then he changes his mind and just has 3,000 of them killed by their very best friends. So those closest to them, he says, you have to go and unalive your brothers, your friends, and your neighbors. That's what I want to see. I think it's 2 chapters later in 34, unless it's right in 33. It says, because the golden calf thing happens in chapter 32, he says that thing I just said, which was, oh, God is full of love and slow to anger and blah, blah, blah. But if we just read the chapter before, it's like, no, he's not. He's not. You're saying something he is, but he's not. We can see that he's not. There's no evidence of it, right?
But I know, for example, that those things are not consistent with the character of Jesus as displayed through what we know.
And that's where you're so wrong. Because if you read, and you're going to have an apologetic for this, but if you read that Jesus is saying, love your family, like love your brothers and sisters, and I have not come to bring peace but a sword, I'm going to make enemies of your very own household, which I can pull up the verses, that is like one-to-one, like reflective of Yahweh saying, go and kill those closest to you. Those that don't agree with me, they are your enemies now. I want you to kill them and hate them. Well, he doesn't say hate them then, but he says kill them. So I think that that's actually like they're the same God. You can actually see that in that particular spot.
I can see how you would read it that way, but that is not what I would say is a faithful interpretation. What that says, what that passage is about, is basically like, hey, following the way of Christ is going to have consequences, and it's going to separate you from your family. I'm sorry, there's people screaming in the background. I hope you can't hear them.
I do kind of.
Okay.
They must have been reading the Bible. Jesus says, I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. I am going to turn this family member against this family member. And then he lists a few family members. Your enemy will be those in your very household. Then if we zoom, like if we go back to Exodus, we have him saying, I'm so angry at these people who turned against me, or whatever his complaint was. I'm going to have their very family take their sword and go and stab them to death. And I'm going to have that happen, like, to their friends, neighbors, and whatever it is, brothers. Right. And then we even have, I think it's Deuteronomy 10 or 13, where he's like, hey, if anyone tries to pull you away to go worship other gods, you need to take that person close to you. And he lists certain family members, drag them out to the middle of the town and throw rocks at them till they die, then get everyone else involved and everyone can kill the person with you. But you need to start it. And I think that those things are very consistent. So I get it that you want to soften what Jesus says.
Things that are attributed to God in the Old Testament, I don't necessarily agree that those were God saying it.
So here we do songs, and you did step in one a little bit.
That was in the Old Testament. We don't read the shit in the Old Testament. I'm not even sure why it's still in print, but that's the dickish God from the Old Testament.
We don't like him.
Sure, he told you how to keep them slaves, and yes, he commanded you to kidnap babes. Only one small tribe were his personal faves, but no one worships the God from the Old Testament. Do they? No. Do they?
No one still worships that God. But no, it is convenient to get away from the Old Testament. What I'm saying is there's a consistency there, and it is a little bit frustrating to, like, I think what you have to do, Robert, is to, like, I think you really need to still deconstruct a little bit more, because Jesus does rely on the Old Testament for his validation, I already mentioned. Like, we don't have an understanding of Yahweh. Do you believe that Jesus is Yahweh? Like, are you a Trinitarian?
Yeah.
So this means you believe in Yahweh, but you don't believe in, like this is where this is where it's so hard, because you were raised fundamentalist, and so was I, right? So you see how very quickly, you already know this, that the whole thing is going to come crashing down as soon as we start pulling out blocks that we don't like, right? We now don't know who Yahweh is. We don't know why he's so inept that he can't have a coherent book that we can all get in on and know what's going on. This is not the book that he uses to reveal himself. This is not a book that is all good for correction and all the other things. There's so much in the book that's going to be false now. The problem is we are talking about one, like a story that is supposed to work together. Okay, so for instance, when Jesus dies, there is a curtain that rips. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the veil, yeah, in the
between
temple.
the thingy, whatever, the holy and the holies of holies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to symbolize now we are able to communicate directly through Jesus with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that the story of them building the tabernacle back in Moses' day kind of has to be somewhat literally true. So God has to be giving those instructions on Mount Sinai along with the Ten Commandments and this and that and the other thing for that to really make any sort of sense, right? And what happens is that what you're doing is you're going, well, okay, I guess we need the tabernacle, we want the Ten Commandments, but I'm going to skip over the chapters here that have the slavery laws. So it's like this cherry picking, which I know is convenient, but it's like it's somewhat arbitrary. It's not. It's you don't like it, and that's fair, right? And then when we look at that sort of part of the story, we go, okay, so Yahweh separated himself from humanity. Like Yahweh chose to do that. So Yahweh created a problem that he then arbitrarily decided to fix how he wanted to fix it. So this is also kind of like circular and gets really, really dumb really, really quick. And even the concept, and I kind of touched on it a bit, we're not going to go into it, but feel free to come back sometime. Even the concept of Jesus' sacrifice, it's very arbitrary. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But each individual Christian seems to have had some sort of magical revelatory experience, and they rely very heavily on that experience, attribute it to this particular God, and then either accept the whole thing or are a little bit more nuanced like you are, where you go, all right, well, I'm going to ignore that stuff that I don't like because my experience was so profound that I know that that can't be real, but this stuff still has to be real. And a lot of the times that might be because that's what you knew, that's what you were raised with. So when you had whatever experience you had, you attributed it to that particular God. And I'm beginning to believe that this kind of unreliable, unverifiable, sort of like, I think unreliable is the best word for it, thing that is experience is the underpinning of these religions. And Muslims can do it, and Hindus can do it. They can all do it, and then they just attribute it to the God that they know, and therefore validated. But I think if I were the God, I would have written the coherent book or revealed myself to everyone in the same way, so everyone was just like on the same page. But he chose to do something incredibly unreliable to a select few, and then wrote a really stupid, incoherent book. Then just dump the book.
You're right. You're absolutely. I just realized, like, the last 30 seconds, I was like, holy crap. So, like, I think you're right. I think that you can dump the book.
My whole goal is to get people to dump the stupid book. Do you want to keep your experiences? Keep your experiences. You don't have to attribute them to this God. The God may have reflected themselves through all the holy books, or none of them, or whatever. I would get into like arguing whether or not the God is all good, if the way that they reveal themselves creates a whole pile of death and stuff. But anyway, Robert, another conversation for another time. It was great talking to you, and again,
both
you're
of you.
welcome
Thank
back
you.
anytime.
Hey, finally both here.
Well, there you are. Finally, let's do the outro.
Yep, take it away, buddy.
Well, that's it from us. I'm Joel.
I'm Mezzo.
And I'm Joel. And just make sure you follow Bad Bible Debates wherever good podcasts are sold.
Yeah, or wherever you normally hijack them from.
And if you can, like it or leave a comment or anything on whatever platform you're using, please do that too.
That's right, buddy. And be sure to follow me on YouTube and TikTok. That's where we record all of these lives from. So if you want to catch the whole thing live, we got a lot of stuff going on over there.
We're always going live on TikTok and on YouTube. So yeah, definitely follow Mezzo there. And also, hey, look, follow me on TikTok, Joel Reads Bible, or subscribe on YouTube at Joel Reads Bible.
Oh, right. I guess I should say my handle is Mezzo_WS. That's pretty much the same on everything.
That's it from us for now. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Bad Bible Debates.
Dude, I think that went really well.
Actually, you know what? I think that was one of our best.
Oh, I wouldn't say best. I mean, it was okay.
No, I'm not joking.
I really liked your part.
You're so hard on yourself. You know, just listen closer to mine, and maybe you'll get it. You know, I think eventually you will get it.